real world if you think racism is over.
Yeah, it is. It really is astonishing because Roberts sort of cut his teeth as a lawyer in the Reagan administration, literally arguing against the Voting Rights Act. So you have this landmark legislation in 1965 that attempted to undo 100 years of Jim Crow, pernicious, destructive decisions, rules by states to make it harder, in particular for African Americans to vote, but also, people who were poor. They had a number of ways to try to stop people from voting so that only their right people, in their view, would vote. You had, at the time that John Roberts was inside the Reagan administration attacking the Voting Rights Act, you had Paul Weyrich, who was this right-wing activist who created the Heritage Foundation with the help of money from the Coors fortune, which is one of the reasons why I'm not drinking Coors and never drink Coors. But you had Paul Weyrich telling white evangelicals that we don't want more people to vote, that the influence of these white evangelicals goes down when more people vote. That was a very candid statement about this hostility to voting rights. And then you had the Congress in 2006. It reauthorized the Voting Rights Act for another 25 years, that enforcement provision. It said that there was ample evidence that we needed to have these enforcement provisions because we faced continuing, racism in America. Obviously we do. And continuing risks that if the states were unleashed, they would act repressively and repress the right to vote. But John Roberts disregarded that finding by Congress. That's how much of an activist and a right-winger he is, to advance the personal agenda, his personal agenda from the early 1980s, to use his power on the Supreme Court to destroy that core enforcement provision of the Voting Rights Act. It's not just a provision, though, as you point out, Jim. It's our right to vote. It's our fundamental freedom to vote that this Chief Justice has assaulted in disregarding the findings of Congress and injecting his personal views and setting aside this fundamental provision of the law. And that's why we've had hundreds of these voter repression measures introduced in the face of Donald Trump's lie, his false claim that the election was stolen. We've seen this wave of legislation being pushed to make it harder for Americans to vote because the Voting Rights Act provision is not in place. And that's directly because this Supreme Court, this out of control, reactionary, extremist Supreme Court, took it on themselves. And John Roberts led that charge, as you said, to utterly destroy our core freedom to vote as Americans. People should be righteously outraged by this arrogant act, by this arrogant Chief Justice, no matter how twinkly his blue eyes are.